So now I've gone through some of the outward facing positions that you have to interact with the public to varying degrees, to varying amounts, and you have to have some manner of think on your feet responsibility. You can't just rely on checklists and marking things off. But now we get to the part where the people that are the checklist, not antisocial, but somewhat asocial nerd type people can do and do well. One of which is alternate rolling stock inspector. It's the guy that does the inspections for maintenance, for repair. What exactly is wrong when something goes wrong? Things like that. Checks off the list for the FRA. Are the brake has the brake inspection been done? To do that actual brake inspection, things like that. Things that they can do to keep the trains rolling, but don't have to interact with the public. And so whoever does the inspections on the equipment, not necessarily the daily inspections, but the heavy ones, that's a great position for them. Paperwork, they don't have to interact with the public as long as you know what you're doing. Great, no problems. Same with doing auditing of the accountant books. Who double checks the information on the daily receipts from the ticket office? Who checks the accounting on the gift shop? Things like that. It's all paperwork. It's all wonderful. It's all easy for the people that do it that way. That they'd prefer being in a small office and just checking off down the list. Was this done? Was that done? Do things compare correctly? Things of that nature. It's a wonderful position for them to be in because they don't have to deal with the general public. They don't have to deal with the questions, except when they have questions to ask of the people that made out the receipts, made out the forms, and are the day-to-day employees. Another suitable position for individuals that like dealing with papers and lists and check boxes and things like that, more so than dealing with people, is the corporate archivist, the guy that takes care of, guy or gal, that takes care of the FRA paperwork, that it gets filed in a drawer and categorized accordingly, that donations of materials, paperwork, ephemera, historic documents, books, things like that, gets documented, cataloged, value estimated when possible, things like that, for the insurance and archival purposes of the museum. Because most of the time we are talking about railroad museums. We're not talking about there are no steam operating mainline railroads in the U.S. these days. So we're talking about mostly museums and small groups. And groups get donations of things. A lot of times things that they can't really use, but it's donated to them all the same and requires paperwork to go. This is how much somebody donated for tax purposes and for the insurance purposes of the museum. Sometimes some rare bits of this and that are exceptionally valuable and can be exceptionally fragile too. So it's very important that they get cataloged and categorized so that they're taken care of or deaccessioned properly. So that's yet another thing that a bookworm individual that isn't exactly an outgoing people person could do. People person, a people person can be the archivist, and oftentimes are, because people come to them asking, "Do you have something about X, Y, Z?" And if they're good with their memory and good with the filing system, they'll either go, "Yeah," or "I'd have to see," or "I'm sorry, no, we don't carry stuff like that." But you could try some other location, some other museum, whatever. So that's another aspect. And then we get on to the final aspect of things, which is the track work. A lot of people don't really think about that as being railroading, even though it's literally in the name. The rails are the thing that carries everything. So it's important to do the maintenance of way work, to do the tamping, leveling, roadbed, track laying, all that sort of things. And a lot of times volunteers don't really want to do it because it's not glamorous. It's not running the train. It's not being flashy. Other times, other volunteers specifically want to help with that because it doesn't involve large groups. It doesn't involve people other than the ones that you know who they are and who you're working with or get stuck working with. But that's another matter. That's volunteer organizations no matter what. And so doing track maintenance or even simple track inspections can be beneficial for those that aren't outgoing people persons. That it allows them to help the group keep everything moving, and it does a vital job. It does a vital task. And so it might not be their forte, it might not be what they like especially, but it's something that can be done and often is done well. One group I know, a very stalwart individual, I think he's passed on now, but he basically took track maintenance on for the group himself. It was like, yeah, I don't want to run the trains. I'm tired of dealing with, he had derogatory terms for the general public, so he didn't want to deal with them anymore. I'll just do this. I'll grab people how I need them, other volunteers, teach them how to do the little simple things that I can't just do myself. And off he went and maintained it very, very, very well. Now, sometimes you needed extra equipment like, tamping machine or stuff that this particular museum would borrow from mainline railroad. And so, big hairy deal. He'd go, I want to, can we grab the machine for XYZ? And they'd talk with the local maintenance away supervisor, and yeah, sure, whatever. And mainline railroad got it as a tax deduction, a tax deduction of the use of their equipment to the railroad museum. Railroad museum got the, tamping machine or whatever for a day or three or whatever, however long, whatever project. Carloads of ballast would come in from the mainline railroad anyway, because there was a direct interchange. So there was really a cooperative relationship between the two. And this individual that was doing the track work was known by the maintenance away guys on the mainline railroad, and they were impressed with what he did pretty much by himself. And they were happy with it. They were go ahead. The tamper would never be out of fuel when they got it back, like they would when they'd load out to some other organizations. If there is something that broke, like a hydraulic hose or anything like, Jim would fix it. He'd spend his own money, get a $50 hose, whatever, and it came back replaced. He'd tell them what happened. He'd let them know for their maintenance records, but it didn't cost the railroad anything. And he just did it because he wanted the GD thing to work for for what he was doing right then and there. So, and if there were any other maintenance issues that were more something that the railroad would have to take care of themselves, he'd tell them about it. And they were great about it. They liked it because a lot of their work gang crews didn't know what the machine was supposed to sound like. So if something was going wrong, like a pin wearing too much or a hydraulic cylinder about to go out, crew didn't know. Crew didn't generally care. But the supervisor needed to know because it was going to fail sooner or later. Things like that. So that's some of the different aspects, a very few of them. Yeah, I know, I kind of breezed over a lot. But some of the aspects of what personality types go for which tasks in a railroad museum or a volunteer organization type of setup. And like I said, while no particular individual embodies all of it, and nobody expects them to, and while certain individuals that may not have the, say, an outgoing character trait for a conductor can be a good conductor, it takes more effort on the part of the individual and a bit of cushioning on the part of anybody working around them to allow them to flourish in that job. So this isn't a who can't and who can, but this is more of a listing of who best serves in these particular positions. So thank you folks for listening. Hope you have a good day. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll have more of Tales from the Roundhouse and questions and answers and that sort of thing coming up in the future. See you around, folks.